generations by, the crawling creepers grow high.
A beautiful row of 4 knocked-together Georgian houses in Islington. Behind the houses, a giant fig tree.
The fig tree out the back.
The mascot for a small group of 18 very different people who live communally, making all their decisions together. It's an extended family.
It's a bit of a bizarre way of living. Everyone has different reasons for being here and different needs. You know, I'm here because I really believe in community, and I've always lived in community. It's my passion, you know, this is the lifestyle that I really believe in.
I haven't met one person that's come here and has had anything negative about it. They've absolutely loved it. I think it's a fantastic way of living.
Karen is a part-time care worker and musician, while Ian is an intern at a city bank, both on low wages. Everyone in Park Street pays affordable rents and shares the kitchens, bathrooms and living rooms. And when there are chores, they're all expected to pitch in.
So we've sort of got like a whole selection of various jobs that we do. Some can be like shopping or cleaning the bin areas or keeping tracks of the rent, sort of doing the whole treasury expenses kind of thing.
That's good. I don't know where it goes, but...
We kind of ask people what jobs they'd like to do, and we try to keep it as balanced as possible.
Cooking is shared among everyone with a rota.
This will take about 15 minutes or so.
A vital part of life in the house is that the younger residents act as carers for older and vulnerable house members.
Let me help you with your shoes and socks.
Yeah, I've lived here 30 years and I never felt inclined to go anywhere else.
At first everyone's sort of like, what is this hippie commune?
We all have our separate lives, obviously, but then this community gives a lot of people a lot of support.
I've lived here since 1979.
I came in when I was 16 and now I'm 52.
Anyone for egg on toast?
Life has progressed from the 70s, you know, when the house was, you know, pretty poor, to slowly building up the house, you know, as a group home.
In 1976, when the commune was first set up, the landlord, a housing association called Patchwork, gave the occupants permanent tenancies, and they could control who moved in.
A lot of people were allocated here by the council, like Rupert. We also try to follow a no friends rule. That's because we want to try keep it as diverse as possible. We don't want cliques forming, we want people to work as a community, sort of what we believe in. Right, Keith, so here we've got TV 101. Now,
the same system of recruiting new house members exists today, and the mix of people in the house is a model which research at the London School of Economics recommends housing providers should emulate elsewhere.
The best examples of collaborative living out there at an international level are very similar to what Islington Park Street Community does. And I think if you asked any kind of expert of collaborative housing, they would see this as a remarkable model that needs to be kind of put out there and emulated.
The original landlords, Patchwork, went into liquidation in 2005. Now Park Street is owned by social housing giant One Housing Group. They want the commune closed and the tenants evicted.
In 2010, we were in mediation with One Housing Group, and then they abandoned the process, and we didn't have any further substantive communication with them until April this year, when we were served with notice of a notice to quit.
Islington was a really run-down area. Investors wouldn't have looked at this house and seen dollar signs, whereas these days that's obviously how they see it.
The house is estimated to be worth £12 million, but the landlords deny that this is the reason for evicting the tenants. One Housing didn't want to be interviewed, but they gave us a statement.
Because they live communally, residents want to control who lives in the properties. These issues put One Housing in breach of regulations designed to ensure fair play, and effectively means that new residents at Islington Park Street are jumping the queue for social housing.
We obviously want to work with them to resolve those issues, so in a way that enables our community to remain here, but also enables them to meet every obligation that they have. But they've refused to engage with us on that basis.
One Housing say they haven't received details of who lives in Park Street, so at the beginning of September, residents faced an imminent court case to get them out.
Well, it's great we've got legal representation now.
Yeah. So do we have to be there on the 1st of September for the first hearing? Is that?
I'm not sure. He said that it might not even go ahead. They might be able to agree with the other side.
So does that mean that the court case is inevitable? I mean, are we trying to have mediation with OHG?
OHG have agreed with the council that in September the council can host a meeting. We've got so much political support. I think it's still possible that they could engage in dialogue with us.
And you're one of the people that will probably be rehoused.
Yes, but I won't be rehoused in an accommodation like this. I'll most probably be put in an old folks home, sat in a chair playing bingo the rest of my life. You know, that's not what I really want. You know.
No, that's not.
No,
You want to sit in the chair here and play?
Yeah.
The arguments for and against eviction have raged on social media, leaving the tenants aghast at some of the comments made in One Housing tweets.
There is disagreeing and there is just trying to wind us up with repetitive silly questions and statements.
They're clearly trying to smear the residents, make them appear that they're not engaging by using social media in the way that they have. And it just has seemed utterly inappropriate and just astonishing.
It must be really depressing to live in a world where everyone around you is so evil.
It seems that they have engaged in a debate that has been just the tone of which has been flippant and completely missing the point that they are engaged in a process that they like to call decanting rather than evicting.
More lovies abusing a housing association to preserve their friends' cheap digs.
When eviction proceedings began, the Park Street residents and their supporters voiced their objections outside the court. Islington Council has unanimously backed the residents. They say that Park Street is a community asset and a great example of affordable living in London.
We know what's driving this. We know there's a financial imperative. We know house prices in this borough and throughout London are astronomical. Unfortunately, One Housing can't see past the pound signs, and they need to stop. They need to pull back from the brink and realise the intrinsic value in this community.
They define themselves on their website as the not-for-profit that likes to make a profit, and I think that, you know, really says an awful lot about the ethics behind their company, and it certainly doesn't seem to me to be what I thought of as a social housing provider.
The next hearing will be in the spring. Peter Blake is conducting negotiations for One Housing. Neither side is keen to back down.
Why are you bringing this action against the house?
It's a real shame that One Housing Group hasn't seen the model that they have in their hands at the moment. I think it's just a matter of realizing that what they have is not a nuisance, it's not a problem. What they have is a real asset.
We've created a family here together, and that's what One Housing would like to see the back of, and that's such a crying shame. And they've shown no interest in the bigger picture and what this community really is, which is something really precious.